Hi, my name is what? My name is what? My name is who? Shazam! Yeah. And for once we actually make a promise on this that we keep, we're going to see the other Captain Marvel movie this year. Welcome to StillerBros at the Movies, where today we're going to see the latest DCEU movie, Shazam!
Well, at least if the DCEU still existed, which it kind of looks like it doesn't anymore.
We don't know. They're keeping it so close to the vest. It's just it's a mess.
Well, Marvel is announcing casting for the Eternals and all this other cool crap that's coming out with the Avengers Endgame coming in 3 weeks. DC is put all its eggs in this basket for right now.
So Shazam. What do we got for Shazam? Well, it's an old character, almost 90 years old.
A character so old that, and we do not have a character so old and so full of history, and we do not have the comic book knowledge to tell you anything about this character. So we're just gonna tell you to fucking Google it.
Yeah, because it's long and interesting.
It's long and interesting. We can't go into detail about it because this would be like an hour and a half long video of just us randomly pulling crap out of our heads that we know, just snippets we know.
So, but Shazam is, but there's a lot to be said about him. Basically, he's a character who is just as strong as he was basically a character that was created by a comic book company in an attempt to compete with Superman. He basically was a ripoff of Superman in a lot of ways, except for the main little twist that he is a child. He is a child named Billy Batson who, when he says the word Shazam, he turns into a superhero who at first was named Captain Marvel, then his name just became Shazam. Now it's just kind of floating in the air. Nobody knows what his name is at this point.
Eventually DC Comics bought the company. He basically dissolved it into DC, and Shazam became part of the DC pet mythos.
And that's why this is here. And that's why this is taking place in in what is left of the DC universe.
Yeah, we have Zachary Levi jumping from the MCU to DC, and he's been very open about the fact that he loved doing the parts he did in Thor, even though he didn't have a line in Thor 3. But he's always wanted to have his own franchise as a superhero, and now he's got it. And then
to play the young Billy Batson, the younger Billy Batson, the kid. We have Asher Angel, who is not a big star right now, but he's kind of got a bit of a rising star amongst children because he's on this show called Andy Mac, which every time I find out what's going on that show, I'm just like, wow, how is Disney getting to do really deep shit like this?
Yeah. We also have Jackie Dylan Grazer from It, taking on the role of Freddie Freeman.
We haven't seen it.
We did not see it.
And we've got Mark Strong trying to redeem himself a bit in the eyes of superhero fans by becoming the new Dr. Sivana, one of Shazam's arch enemies. One of them.
Last time we saw him, he was set up as the villain in a sequel to a superhero movie that we're never going to get a sequel, that we've pretty much now been guaranteed is never getting a sequel.
Deadpool made sure of that.
Yes.
When he shot Ryan Reynolds in the head.
Yes.
But all that said, this movie it's interesting because it's essentially a 1980s family movie from a horror director.
We have David F. Sandberg from Lights Out and Annabelle Creations taking the reins for his first non-horror film, period. Because even I think the short films he put out on YouTube way back in the day are horror films.
I mean, and the fact that there's a cameo from a Lights Out character in this movie, and the fact that the Annabelle doll was an Aquaman just shows that now Lights Out, the Conjuring series, and the DCEU are all set in the same universe. I guess that's a confirmation. They're kind of Easter eggs, but the Annabelle doll you could call an Easter egg, but the fact that a character straight from Lights Out is in the movie just shows that these are the same universe.
Yeah, but also this movie has had has probably going to be an interesting celebrity. I mean, if you know what's been going on with casting wise in the DC movies, you'll probably have an idea of what the mid-credit scene is probably going to be.
At least we think. We've been avoiding spoilers like the plague on this one. This is not Avengers level. We can't let a single second of this movie be spoiled, that they haven't already felt the confident enough to release spoiled for us, but we're just making sure that we do not get anything ruined for us, because this movie just looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and when it comes down to it, a movie like this is just what the DCEU needs, because Aquaman was fun, but it still had that genuine feel of the other movies. Wonder Woman was a step in the right direction by making a good movie with this character, with a character that had not had any movies yet.
And then Justice League. We're not going to be talking about Justice League or Batman v Superman or maybe even Man of Steel anymore.
But this is lighthearted. It's a family movie. It's clearly a family movie. It's a movie, and it's got a lot.
And obviously they went in the right direction by basically being influenced by picking Big as an influence. R.I.P. Penny Marshall.
R.I.P. Penny Marshall. But other than that, I don't know what else to say. This is just I guess our main preconception is we hope it's fun. It seems like fun. Everybody seems to say it's fun. So, yeah. I guess we'll see you after the jump.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone spoil this movie for you, for God's sakes!
This is so... Keep it tight-lipped, because we're going to try to keep it tight-lipped as much as possible, because you don't need to know anything. Don't know anything going into this movie.
So, that was really good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the best movie of the year, because it's still April.
Yeah.
So, but my God, was that good. So please, do not let anyone spoil it for you. I mean, I got kind of spoiled by actually walking through the toy aisle at Target, so careful.
Yeah.
Just be really careful.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into it. This movie has a lot of good stuff to it. It's got heart, humor, the action sequences are great. There's just so much to unpack.
Yeah. Obviously, with David F. Sandberg, you got a little bit of his horror roots showing through.
The good thing is the guy knows how to direct horror, so the parts that are that generally need to be horrific are really frightening, as far as you can go for a movie that the studio's like, okay, but just remember there are going to be kids in the audience.
Yeah.
And so there's like moments where you can just tell that he was letting his whole I'm a horror guys thrive. This movie kind of fits the horror director, but in some ways this movie weirdly fits the horror director turned action in movie guy thing way more than some of the other movies directed by horror guys have.
Yeah. Zachary Levi is freaking amazing and just runs away with the entire movie.
It's awesome that he's got the energy, he's got the look. He is, in a lot of ways, a great Shazam or Captain Marvel. It doesn't matter.
He's technically not called Captain Marvel throughout the entire movie.
He's not called anything throughout the entire movie, and that's kind of the nice part about this. The universe is built so much that the Justice League's out there, people know who they are, but you don't. But it's okay. But there's not a lot of them yet, so it's okay that this guy shows up and he doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah. We also have Asher Angel just kind of doing a great job with what he's doing.
The child acting overall is actually really good, which is a really good thing to see, because it's just because a lot of people know for a fact that that it's kind of hit or miss with child acting, and this is a really good group of kids playing the characters.
Yeah. Jack Dylan Grazer, he doing his thing. I got a message, I'll check it later, but
don't text and drive, kids.
He is doing great as Freddie Freeman. He's got
great chemistry with both Asher Angel and Zachary Levi, so that's really great.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the feel, and it's kind of interesting how Zachary Levi just fits into the mold so well. Of the two of them, just kind of him and Asher Angel play the same character so well in a way that Hey, and granted, Zachary Levi, because he's the hero and not the one who has to do a lot of the heavy lifting acting wise in places. He says, unless you count the whole high energy be a kid thing.
Yeah, but ultimately Asher's holding down a lot of the dramatic stuff, but Zachary's like Zachary's in most of the movie, so.
And that's the whole thing with it, and the characters are and it's really well put together. The characters are good. Well, we got funny jokes with all of them, and great character beats. Even the villain is fleshed out and well motivated and everything like that.
Yeah, we got Mark Strong as Dr. Savannah. Ultimately, however, they just kind of gloss over his entire.
We get a lot of time with Dr. Savannah, but it's not. But in a lot.
It's only in like the first maybe 45 minutes that we get a lot of time with Dr. Savannah, though.
I mean, he has a backstory. He has a believable motivation. He's very much not like he was in the comics, because in the comics, Dr. Savannah was just a typical mad scientist. So if they just made him the way he is, then essentially he'd be. In the comics, it'd just be like he's ripping off every other mad scientist character that's come since he came around 90 years ago.
Yeah, but ultimately, one thing that kind of drags this movie down, and it's the same thing complaint that I had about Aquaman, is that it kind of feels like it drags in places. It's
a little long in places. There's a lot, especially in the middle, where it's just kind of this thing. And I think it's kind of interesting that Shazam kind of is Chronicle if it was a comedy.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, when you were a teenager saying, "Oh, if I had superpowers," you were not picturing going out to save the day. You were picturing going out to show off to people. You were picturing viral videos. You were picturing all kinds of stuff, of pranks and stuff like that. So this is basically Chronicle if instead of being an over serious, really deconstruction of the whole thing, it was a comedy.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking Chronicle. It's the only good Josh Trank movie so far, and it's probably one of the few good things that we can still talk about Max Landis with.
Yeah.
But Shazam it's fun. It's great to see this character envisioned in a way that it's very true to the way he is in the comics, in cartoons, in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, we don't know much about Shazam from the comics, but what we got was from cartoons. From Young Justice, and our very first exposure to him was watching him kick Superman's ass in Justice League Unlimited.
And on that note, the action sequences in this movie are actually pretty interesting. The way they utilize the fact that he can switch back and forth between Billy Batson and the hero Shazam, and that's pretty good. That's a pretty good thing to go with, because you just got to remember he's not Superman, so he does have certain things that you can play with.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting how the score just kind of is a comedy score, but also a very superhero score. It's
kind of parodying superhero scores in a way, because it's a comedy score as well.
But as it goes, the whole movie is. Basically, when you saw that poster of him drinking a Slurpee, leaning back, all that stuff, just like this look on his face, that was pretty much the tone for this movie.
Yeah, and that's what you got for the trailers as well. The trailers didn't mislead you, but they did not show you any of the movie, really.
Yeah, it's just about 80% of the action sequences are not in the trailers, and that is a good thing, because
about 80% of the beats in this movie, of a lot of the stuff in this movie, is not in the trailers either. We don't get a lot of what's going on in this movie.
The trailers don't tell you how much heart this movie has. This is very much a family movie, and it's really, really good at how much they do. There was a scene where I was starting to tear up a little bit near the end, because that's just how emotionally invested this movie makes you. And also it really is big, but a superhero movie. to the point that there's even a direct reference to Big in the movie. I won't spoil it, but it's during one of the first big action sequences of the movie, and I've just loved that.
Yeah. But ultimately, it's a good movie, but it kind of dragged, and there was a bit of times where there was some jokes where you kind of had to force yourself to laugh a little bit.
Also, stay through the credits. Just stay through the credits. Why do I even need to keep saying it? Stay through the credits. I mean, seriously. And in this case, it's just kind of, this is going to be a big setup for one of the most interesting sequel baits I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Shazam. Go see it. Like you weren't going to go see it because everyone is saying to go see it. Go see this movie. It's just too unique not to be seen in theaters.
Yeah.
So, that's it?
That's it.
All right. So, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to tune in next time when we're going to raise some hell. Bye.
Bye.